Welcome back to Knife Talk 101. I'm your host, The Gorilla, and today we've got something a little bit different and special. It is an overview, but it's not really an unboxing. It's more of a little bit of nostalgia for some of you that have been collecting knives or into knives for a while. So, over 10 years ago, one of the first knives that I had bought, shouldn't say first, but one of the first more tactical style knives I bought was a SOG Trident. And it wasn't fully automatic, but as you see, it's spring assisted, so it's close to automatic at the time as you could get and still being legal. These knives were fairly popular. At the time I bought it, still came in a nice box, and now I believe you can still buy the SOG Trident at your local Walmart or big box retailer, and they come in a blister pack. Anytime a knife brand mass produces and sells a knife in a blister pack, that's generally not a good sign. It did have a lock built in. Let's see if we can get that to focus here. Come on. You can do it. There we go. Did have a lock built in. I super glued that sucker shut because it was just super inconvenient and a pain, and it would actually switch down while it was open, preventing you from locking it. But that's not the knife we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the knife that replaced my original SOG Trident that I lost. Over 10 years ago, I bought this Benchmade custom Griptilian, and I put this thing through the ringer. This was my everyday carry, use it for anything and everything, carried this sucker in uniform for a number of years. This thing was a tank, and at the time, the only way to get it in a better quality steel was to order it through Benchmade's custom program. And I still have the original box. Don't ask me what happened to the bag. The bag just completely, who knows, disappeared. But yeah, this one's an S30V steel. It's that coyote tan flat dark earth color. I can't remember what actual color they said it was, but it was a custom Griptilian. Right, let's see if it'll focus. And partially serrated, DLC coating on it. You can see a little bit of wear right there on that DLC coating, but for a 10-year-old knife, it's held up pretty well. Been resharpened hundreds of times. Had used the crap out of this thing. So partially serrated blade, very useful, right, in an outdoor environment, hard use kind of environment. I typically don't go with any kind of serration anymore. Used to like it, kind of grew out of it. I think it originally stemmed from, right, having that SOG Trident, and that sucker also being partially serrated. But yeah, this Griptilian has definitely been for the ringer. Well broken in. Things that I like about this knife. It's tougher than nails. This sucker was built to last. Another thing I like about it, the price on them. You can buy Griptilians fairly cheap, and they will last you a long time. Now, they have done a slight redesign on them. At the time, they had this injection, I think it's a nylon, fiberglass reinforced nylon handle. It's super lightweight, but it just feels cheap. Doesn't feel as good as G10 or any other slightly more premium scale material that's out there. And it does live up to its name, right? It does give you a good grip. The pocket lizard, right? It just works even when wet. But it feels kind of cheap, and it's pretty thick. That's probably my biggest complaint about the Griptilian. And Benchmade has sold a boatload of Griptilians. Arguably, it's the knife that kind of put them in the EDC and tactical map. At the time, 10 years ago, right? Really, people were only carrying Benchmades and Spydercos, and you're either a Benchmade guy or Spyderco guy. There were guys that were carrying Sabinzas and Chris Reeve knives and some more higher end knives, some Microtechs, but there wasn't a whole lot in the affordable EDC range that was good. Benchmade, high quality. It's good. Been around a long time. This sucker, like I said, it's been for the ringer. I carried this for no less than 5 years, every single day, faithfully. And one of the things I can tell you about this S30V steel is it is a pain in the arse to pre-profile and resharpen. It does hold an edge pretty good. It'll hold that edge for quite a while, but man, this sucker is not the easiest to reprofile or sharpen. It's just super tough and hard, right? Yeah, S30V, not the easiest, can be done. I remember shortly after I bought this knife, I upgraded to a Wicked Edge sharpening platform, and I can remember having to reprofile this knife after it had a small microchip in it. Fell out, and while I was using it, I had it sitting down, fell out and hit some concrete pretty hard. I remember this one taking well over an hour and a half to reprofile and hone in the sharpening to sharpness that I liked or was acceptable for me. Starting with all the way down to a 50 grit stone, going all the way up right to 1200 grit, and then, you know, polishing strops. Why? Because, you know, I was proud of this knife. I don't think I ever put a mirror edge on that S30V, but it was definitely razor sharp and would, you know, slice through paper, even newspaper, phone book paper. It would cut through anything with precision until you would hit those serrations, of course. Yeah, you can see some of the marks on it, right, from the hard use, some pocket buildup. I'm not sure if that came from drywall or if that's actual paint. I think I hit some paint on a wall one day with it or something, and it picked that up on the scales. But unfortunately today I'm not going to do a teardown. I am going to do a teardown on this, but I think since this is the 10-year anniversary of having this girl here, it's her birthday, I think we're going to order her some brand new scales, give her a makeover, and do a complete and total teardown on it. Look at those pivot washers, right? Look at the lock bar, the access lock mechanism, springs, everything, and see how well it's held up. So I think some scales, new scales, are in good order for this. Let me know in the comments if you guys have any preferred scales, or if you've done any after market customizations to an older Griptilian. Would love to know. Also, right, so for some of the guys that haven't been following Benchmade forever, the Bugout, it's essentially a Griptilian. All it is a thinner Griptilian with better scales, in my opinion. Yeah, the blade geometry might be slightly different, but essentially it's a Griptilian. Whoever at Benchmade decided to come up with the Bugout was like, hey, let's reintroduce a knife we've already made and just make it a tiny bit different, a little bit lighter, more pocketable, and we'll give it a different name to get more people to buy it. But yeah, the Griptilian, it's been around forever. You can pick these up fairly economically for what you get, and I'm not tracking what their current blade steel is on them. Probably should have looked it up before we made this video. When we do the teardown, I'll talk more in depth about the different variants and varieties. But this sucker was definitely a huge upgrade. At the time when I bought the original SOG Trident, was being produced in Oz 8 steel, which not the greatest, but it'd get the job done and it'd take a decent edge. Now they don't even tell you what this steel is, and this knife right here is probably 7 or 8 years old. I probably bought 4 or 5 different Tridents right around 50 to 60 bucks a piece, and this is the only one that still is in existence in the house. The rest of them have all disappeared, and hopefully somebody that needed it more than me found it and acquired it, and is getting some good use out of it. But yeah, we're gonna dress this Griptilian up and see what happens. So definitely leave some comments down below. Let me know, you know, if you have any preferred scale manufacturers. Don't send me a bunch of eBay, whatever you Google and find. Please, you know, if you are going to share, make sure it's something that you've already used before, and tell me a little bit about what you like about them, you know, how you like it on your Griptilian, and we'll read off the top comments when we actually do the teardown on this and go more in depth for what 10 years of pocket use and hard use wear looks like on a Griptilian. For comparison, right, this is the Adamus Mini. It's also a thick boy, but the geometry, right, the way that handle grips, it's much more comfortable than the Griptilian. I feel like I could use the Adamus for a much longer time than I could the Griptilian here. But the Griptilian, it's definitely a hard use knife, as I'm sure the Adamus is going to prove itself right as a hard use knife. This one is in the CPM Crew Weare. We also have the CPM MagnaCut version. We are going to be putting the MagnaCut and the Crew Weare Adamuses toe to toe and see which one wins. I think the Crew Weare might have a slight advantage than the MagnaCut, just simply because, right, it's, in my opinion, I think it's better steel. That's a bit controversial, but I think the honeymoon period with MagnaCut kind of ran its course with me. However, we will find out when we put those two toe to toe against each other. So for upcoming videos, we're going to have the Adamus comparison, right? MagnaCut versus Crew Weare, battle of the blade steels. We're also going to have our long-term review of the petrified fish in D2 steel. So I did put this knife through some hard use over the summer. Took it out to the field with me, actually resharpened it a couple times out there. Got it so sharp we had an inch piece of foliage that was in the way, and this thing kind of samurai sliced right through it in one clean cut. Tried to replicate that, wasn't able to do it again. Unfortunately, the video footage that we had recorded out there did get completely lost, so you'll just have to take my word and trust that I'm an honest person that happened. So we'll have a video coming up about the petrified fish. This was our sub $30 budget knife, and it is definitely turning out to be a budget king with that D2 steel. I'm a big fan of D2 steel. Always have been. I think it is a great option for a majority of people. You just have to oil or protect the blade, and it'll last you for a long time. So we'll have the video coming up on the petrified fish. We're gonna do a little bit of research, find some new scales for this sucker, and hopefully soon we're gonna do a complete teardown and makeover of the old pocket lizard Griptilian here, and take a look and see, you know, what 10 years of use looks like. I mean, as you can see, it's buttery smooth. Yeah, that's just that wear in from 10 years of use. But we'll have a video coming up on that as soon as we decide on some scales and get them in. We'll have a couple more upcoming videos. If you guys have any ideas, anything you'd like to see, please definitely put them out in the comments. We are trying to grow this channel and make it bigger and better, and get to the point where we can show you better knives and go over more cool stuff and put it through the torture test. And maybe one day get big enough that the knife companies will recognize us, send us stuff to beat the crap out of for fun. Also, we might have a video coming up on some different knife sharpening options, mainly focused on either EDC carry or field carry. And we might be doing some EDC videos coming up. But anyway, that's our 10-year overview of a custom Griptilian and S30V steel, or as I like to call it, the pocket lizard. Might want to be careful saying that. But until next time, people, have a knife day. And stay tuned in. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you'll get notified when we do upload videos. We're going to try and get at least one out a week for the next couple weeks. Thanks for tuning in, and have a nice day.